meeting to order, Silver Falls School District, and attendance, we have all board members present. Flag salute. Flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the agenda review, SFEA has contacted us that they will not be presenting tonight, so item 7 will not be on the agenda. And otherwise, I look for approval of the agenda.
Move for approval as presented.
Second.
Been moved and second to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor, aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Been moved and second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Approved unanimously. Student representatives, Olivia and Ava, are they here? Come on up.
Hello, my name is Olivia Aker, and I am a sophomore and one of the ASB school board representatives from Silverton High School.
My name is Ava Kaiser, and I am a sophomore and the other ASB school board representative.
We have had a very successful school year that we have many things to be extremely proud of. We capped off Spirit Week last week, in which the seniors won Spirit Games, but were followed by the freshmen, who took second place.
Overall, we have had a lot to be grateful for and proud of this school year. Last Thursday was the Silverton High School graduation, and we are very proud and excited for all our seniors that graduated. Congratulations, class of 2026.
Skills USA recently competed at the Nationals, representing Silverton High School with professionalism, maturity, and pride throughout the week. They competed against the best students in the country, made new friends, gained valuable experiences, and created memories that will last a lifetime. They had lots of success.
Paul Blazer got 5th place in firefighting, Ella Hatfield, Nat Lapton, and Carter Redling got 9th place in Career Pathways Showcase. Lily Billingberg got 28th place in Advertising Design. Edwin Herman competed in National Carpentry, and Maya Shania competed in National Architectural Drafting.
The Silverton High School Speech and Debate team qualified 3 students to compete at the National Speech and Debate Association National Championships this June in Richmond, Virginia. Shane Johnston, Mia Claire Mikeson, and Anatoly Kuznetsov will be representing the Silverton High School in competition next week. Good luck to them. More to come with scores from Mr. Jones in a bit.
Looking into next year, we will be announcing our homecoming theme for next year at the end of this week. That will be posted on our website, pushed out on social media, and sent to all schools.
We are so proud of Foxes and everything they have accomplished this year, and are looking forward to seeing all the exciting things they'll do next year. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good job.
Okay, and then we'll have our principal's report and Silverton High School. Kirsten?
I think you got the whole crew.
Okay, whole herd.
No, whole crew.
We've got the whole administrative team.
Team effort.
All right, thank you for having us. We shared early, like about a month ago, that we hadn't presented yet, and so I don't know why I said that, because they were like, why are we doing this tonight? Last week was pretty crazy, but we're recovering. We just finished, we called it the graduation encore. We had 3 of our seniors that went to nationals for Skills USA. All 3 made it in the top 10 in the nation, which is very exciting and something to celebrate, but we wanted to give them a proper graduation. So we just give them their diplomas in the, we had a little presentation in the auditorium, pomp and circumstance, caps and gowns and everything. It was super fun. So we wanted to share on a couple of things tonight about what's going on at the high school. So I'm going to start talking just about our teamwork and our operational agreements that we came up with. We spent a lot of time in August together, kind of coming together with what our working agreements would be, knowing the importance of a team working together. I was fortunate enough to be trained as an administrator under Ed John, and that was always his biggest thing, is like the team and teamwork. And so our team spent a lot of time in August coming together with some working agreements, and so that is what I shared with you. Next slide. So these are the working agreements that we came up with. Teamwork makes the dream work is one of my favorite sayings, so I just thought I'd add it in there. And so these are how we try to do our day-to-day business at Silverton High School, and holding each other accountable to it. This year we had a mid-year survey. We had staff complete about how we're doing with these agreements. It's always a little, nerve-wracking to get that feedback, but it was really good and positive. And there was things that we know we need to work on and do better all the time. We have a growth mindset in that. We also had some really great feedback on the things that we were putting our time and effort into for Silverton High School, that people were noticing that it was making a difference. And we had some data to show that, but the input from our staff was really important as well. And so that gave us some really good feedback. One of the pieces of feedback in our mid-year survey was that someone made a note that this team reminds us of the 90s Dallas Cowboy dynasty, and so we've really glommed onto that and use it a lot in reference to talking about different things. I would say I'm Troy Aikman, but we always have to fight over who is who. That's kind of
Not
something.
all of us are Dallas fans.
Well, I know. Well, we did talk about that, but it is a dynasty, so we thought we would have some fun with it. So when there's hard days, and there are hard days or hard things, we remind ourselves of that comment, because it's good to remember the positive things. So I think I'm turning it over to Mr. Traeger here. All right.
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about as we came into the school year, kind of preparing for staff and trying to really do one of the best things that a leadership team can do. And one of the greatest gifts a leadership team can give to a staff is a vision and a direction. And so we did a lot of work over the summer to kind of create our operating pieces to it, and then we wanted to really collect where do we need to go with that. And so one of the first things that we did is start to get grounded in what our focus on instruction was going to be. And that's kind of a lofty ask, because this district has been through quite a bit over the last so many years. And so one of those things that often can go to the side is like, well, where are we really going to try to move the needle for instruction? And so we didn't want to come in and say as a team, this is what we think we need to do. We actually spent a lot of time, some very thoughtful, intentional work on saying staff who've been here for a long time, staff that are new, anywhere in between, where do you think we are? What do you think we have on the table already? And where should we go? And so we did, with our educators in the building, we did some inquiry work and workshopped around some of that question. And this is what we came up with. And these are kind of the themes that came out of that work. Our staff are telling us, this is what we see, this is where we think we could go, and this is what we could buy into. And so when you look at that list, some pretty inspiring things. Some pretty lofty things too, but as we captured those things, you see things like belonging work. You see things like collective efficacy, a high quality education, all those things that we want our kids when they leave here to be future ready with. We also want them to be academically ready, but also what's the role that they're taking out when they take their place in society. And so to sum some of that up, and I'll be really quick because there's other things to share, but these are our 3 things that we took into our focus on instruction this year. And so the nice thing that I like about those, very intentionally, is that you take those 3 things, they never are going to go away. It does not matter what instructional initiative we put in place, We will always be able to come back to relational capacity, student belonging. We will always be able to come back to collective efficacy with staff saying, we are going to buy into this thing and try to move us forward. And then I hope our students are always talking to each other and working with the leaders and the teachers in this building. So those three things very strategically putting forward into being the makeup of where we go for the next 3 to 5 years, because we could take any initiative to that. One thing that we thought really important was to model it. And so there's not an administrator on this team that did not take a leadership role in modeling what we thought is good, high quality, high leverage strategies. And so it was really fun because we would run PD that way. We would run PD like with this vision of what we would like to see in the classroom, and that more than anything got our staff rolling into like, okay, you guys know what you're talking about. We get what you're saying, and you're willing to do it, especially when you're going to ask us to do that. So this is just a list of some of those things that we modeled, and staff walk away with that same strategy and same partnership to be able to implement in their classroom. And this is just a short list of that. And so then where do we go from there? We start talking about school-wide goals. And so one of those things that staff, that you're very aware of, they have student growth learning goals that they're required to do every year, 2 of them. And so what we decided to do is we decided to take some of that work and say, we're going to partner with you on this, teachers. If you want to opt into this growth goal, then you can opt into it with us, and we will be driving that throughout the school year. So we created a goal very strategically around student collaboration, because when we looked at the Youth Truth survey and data, there's a big light shining on that. We wanted to drive the amount of student collaboration that happened in instruction in our building. And so a lot of teachers decided to partner with us on that. And what that looked like was looking at the data that we could, and then starting to really say collectively, how could we go about implementing some of that? And so what we landed on was 2 strategies a month for those instructors to implement in some way, at least once, into their instruction. So this is the first one. So really low-hanging fruit, pretty easy to do. And as we continued throughout the month, the strategies got more complex, they got more thoughtful, and they got more tasking. If I'm an instructor and I'm going to implement this into my instruction, it probably a little bit more of a lofty ask. But we started small, and we started to kick that into gear. And so you'd see there January, February, so 2 strategies a month. Teachers that were doing this school-wide goal with us, they opted into trying those at least one time in that month. Many teachers decided to make this regular routine and ritual in their classroom, a lot of these. And so when we ask students, are you experiencing peer collaboration in your classroom? We want to be an easy yes. Yes, that happens in my classroom, and we like it. March, April, and so you'll see those strategies change, and they also start to increase with the amount of planning that would go around it. But again, things that we would love to see in our classroom. And so as you flash forward to May, we wanted to go beyond what Youth Truth was telling us. It's always good to have that data point, ask good questions around that, and then go seek more information. And so the way that we were going to seek more information is we wanted to get at the classroom level. So each of those teachers that opted into that school-wide goal with us, they then did a classroom level survey of their students, their target population, and they asked these questions. They asked questions like, do you collaborate with your peers when the teacher asks you to? And so we took some of that Youth Truth questions and we put it into a classroom level survey, and we added some of our own interest points. And the neat thing about that is we go Youth Truth data, now we have some school-wide data, but it's compiling on top of this very balcony view, which Youth Truth gives us from administrators, what we notice in the classroom. It gives us that balcony view. This allows us to go down to the street, right? It allows us to see what are our students experiencing, how do they feel about it, and extend it further. That was very quick on some of the instructional stuff that we were doing. So thank you. If you got questions, I'll take them while Sarah's coming up.
Well, what do you do with the information you get?
We start building on that 3 to 5 year plan. So when we talk about collective efficacy, that's that idea that adults, when they come together to set a goal, can actually make something happen for students. So we take that information and we ask ourselves, are we hitting the mark, or do we need to make adjustments? So we would take that information and we would roll it into, not saying this was the theme of the year and we pick a whole new theme. We start building on those 3 things that came up, because those are going to be continuous in the very humble work that we do. They're never going to go away. We want our kids to feel welcome in our school. We want to have that relationship be the heart of what we do and everything that we do. But we also want to make sure that when our kids are leaving our building, you ask them the question, do you feel like you're getting a high quality education? Absolutely yes. And so we continue to fold that feedback into it and adjust like a good team should do to meet the needs of those kids. So,
Joe, is that done during AG? Is that when those surveys are?
those would actually be, so I would say that we had a large percent of our teaching staff opt into that goal. So those surveys would actually happen in a classroom. So
Content area.
yeah, so throughout those months, those teachers are implementing those collaborative strategies. And so in May, it was kind of when they were wrapping up that work. And so June, they're surveying their students, those very short, those questions. And so we will be able to compile that feedback on what data we're currently looking at. So if you're going to ask me if I'm excited to see what those are, I'm absolutely really excited to see what those classroom level surveys tell us.
Will we be able to see those results next time?
Yeah. We'd
Really
like to
exciting.
compare them to what we're seeing in U-Truth.
Yeah.
Because again, it should drive us to ask really good questions and seek more information. So it'll point us in a direction.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the business of within your staff, the grassroots, to build from within, and their idea, not your idea, shoved on them, sort of thing. So-
Oh yeah, I think that's been a really powerful response, right? Is listening and saying, okay, here's what we feel like you're saying, and here's what makes sense. And the other thing is, we've been in survival mode as a district, right? And so like instructional initiatives, I'm still waiting to hear what we're going to do next. But these 3 things, we will be able to fold into that because it will always live in what we're doing. So I'm excited about that.
Good.
There's things, surprise.
Oh, I know. I'm excited. But you take the early literacy work that we're already doing, and so we bring that to secondary. Those things fold right in to everything that we're creating a runway for. I do, yeah. One thing that we love here at Silverton High School is every year at our senior awards night, we get to honor the Seal of Biliteracy, which is a lot of hard work. And so a lot of people don't necessarily know what that encompasses. And so Sarah Roth, who's our DC of World Language, is going to tell you a little bit about the Seal of Biliteracy.
Good evening. I just wanted to come and brag a little bit about our students and also just give you an idea of what that meant when students were earning their Seal of Biliteracy, and just show you a little bit of what we've accomplished over the years. So the Seal of Biliteracy started in California to recognize students who come from a home where a language is spoken other than English, but have really high skills in that language, and then they study in English and attain very high skills in that one. And it was created to recognize these students who are going through our school system who have these amazing skills and abilities, and to give them recognition of that. Today, all 50 states plus Washington, D.C. give the Seal of Biliteracy, and we have been doing this at our school for 7 or 8 years, I think. So the Seal of Biliteracy is awarded to students who earn a certain level of proficiency in English and a language other than English, and they have to meet those skill levels by graduation to earn their Seal of Biliteracy. So one of the things that's hard to explain, it's like language people are like, intermediate high, but that doesn't really mean anything to the rest of the world. But students have to achieve global proficiency in their the language that they're studying, or their first language plus English, which is intermediate high, and they have to earn it in all areas. They have to reach that height in all areas of reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And on average, and this takes 6 to 8 years of study to accomplish, And yet, we have students who are doing our program in 4 years and don't come from a home other than English speaking that are also achieving the goal. We use different assessments to show this, like the state testing, some local assessments, and then we use a language test from the National Federation of Language Teaching. So students who earn their seal by literacy, it's a way of honoring what they have accomplished. It's a way of showing universities and employers that they have a high level of language ability. And it brings with it even sometimes like college credits, like if they go into college, they'll award them credits or place them in a higher class. And here, when they graduate, they receive a variety of things. They receive a medal to wear at graduation, a certificate that comes from the state of Oregon, a seal that comes from the state of Oregon that goes on their diploma, and then this is transcribed on their record. So this year we had something exciting. We had one student earn their seal by literacy in a language other than Spanish, and it was Russian and English. And so that was really exciting. Before that, and the rest of the students this year all earned it in Spanish and in English. And from 2019 to 2026, all the students, with the exception of this one student in Russian, have taken our program through the advanced levels of Spanish, and most of them through Spanish 4. Because what they're expected to be able to do at this high level is talk about big social science topics, all of these things that our students learn to do in English. They don't learn to do that in another language unless they take advanced language classes. So that's really exciting for our department as well to have so many students accomplish that. And I will just say as an aside, the student who earned it in Russian and English this year was educated in Russian. So it aligns with what we're seeing in Spanish. So this is just our 8 years, our track record. There was a dip with COVID and the years where students had at least 1 year of Spanish online. And that was, that was really hard for students to not have language in person and not have it every day. Our levels were also lower when we were on block schedule because language needs consistency. Last year was our biggest accomplishment. We had 27 students, so we feel like we're back with our successes. And then this year we had 19, so it's still around that. It's been like around the 20s pretty typically, except for those random years.
I just want to say thank you so much. My daughter did this through your program, and this translates into some real financial benefits in college and in the workplace, and it's really been a benefit for her. So thank you for doing this. It's great.
Absolutely. And in addition to the seal by literacy, students can earn 24 college credits in Spanish 3 and 4. So
saves
if
money.
they don't earn their seal by literacy, they can earn those credits. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to add, well done. It's a really remarkable skill set to be able, at that level in multiple languages. Pretty amazing, especially at this age. So, good job.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah.
All right, Mr. Craig is going to come up and talk attendance.
Right. Already started. Should I use a clicker? Okay. Well, I'll try to keep this to 5 minutes, but I get a little bit excited talking about attendance. And that's not sarcasm, like I do, but because I used to think that this was sort of a foregone thing where it takes care of itself, and then COVID happened, and I think what we realized is that it is vital to any learning that's going to happen. I mean, it's very common sense, but if they're not in the building, it's hard to help them. So I think that has been a big eye opener for all of us, is realizing what happens when attendance seems like it's an option. All of a sudden, learning becomes a lot more difficult. So coming into this role in last summer, kind of looking with the other admin team at sort of some staff feedback. And I wasn't in the building yet, but I know KJ filled us in on sort of what they think our biggest priorities need to be. And one, I think the top one was just focusing on attendance, because kids were coming and going without a lot of accountability and support. So kind of looking at, sort of broke this down into sort of 3 different phases of the year. August was setting the tone. We wanted parents and guardians to know right out of the gate when they came in for registration, pre-service, that we cared about attendance this year. And I think that's one thing I'll kind of wrap up at the end with, but the quickest and easiest way to show families, community, students that you care about them is noticing when they're not there and letting them know. You know, that's a super easy way to communicate that. So I won't click on this, but we did hand out this attendance handout to all parents and guardians at registration about the importance of attendance. And one stat on there that stood out to me right away is that September is National Attendance Month set by the ODE. And a student that misses 2 days of school in September is 5 times more likely to become a chronic absentee student throughout the school year. Chronic absenteeism is below 90%. So we just know that a slow start often yields a slow end. So getting out ahead of it was really important from the beginning. Mid-year is a community outreach. So this is where we kind of got some ducks in a row. We changed some systems that I'll look at in a minute. I see James Day right here, our man, helped us with this a little bit. We reached out and he kind of shadowed a couple of our attendance team meetings and wrote an article about the work we've done all year, really trying to support and encourage improved attendance at Silverton, mostly through our attendance team that I'll talk a little bit more about. And I think the big one there is that there was kind of this image that I had in my head about like the power of a student. Let's say they're not at high school, right? They're at a local restaurant. They just decided not to go the day. If they were to see that article while they were supposed to be in school, the importance of attendance is what it was titled, that's important. And I think it's important for the community to know that we care that kids are here. So I think that just reaching that broader group was a big step for us. And then semester 2, so we're looking more February onward, we started looking at the students that need some support and guidance. So we call these our Tier 2 data set. So students that are between 80 and 89%. Theoretically, this group of students, you can improve attendance by some smaller interventions. So that's just calling parents, sending a letter, which we did both of those things, and having meetings with those students to set an attendance growth goal, usually 6 weeks out. And in most cases, that improved those students' attendance, but really honing in on who needs the help in interaction the most. Second thing is school systems. So what could we improve internally to help support students' attendance? And as I mentioned, the biggest one was just creating an attendance team in the beginning of the year. We meet every other week without fail, mostly review data, implement systems of support, and look at just incentives, which that's the fun part that I'll speak about, but really trying to get students to here and reward them for being here. Another system, but really a role, is a student success advocate. So this was a position we were fortunate to not really add, but kind of move some things around and create this system and hired, I want to give her a shout out, Esmeralda Mraz has been vital to the work we've done this year. She's our point person for running tardies and lunch detentions and trackers, and really the first person that reaches out to me or a attendance secretary when we need to connect with a family or a student that is having a hard time getting to school. So they're really integral to all of it. Hallway passes, this sounds small, but in terms of tardies, which is a part of attendance, we didn't have a really clear-cut system for how students are going to get from point A to point B during the school day. That was something we just sort of slipped, so we brought that back this year. Having that system of accountability has really helped keep kids safe and where they're at. And then our education partners, working with the WESD and the Oregon Data Suite, we added that this year. That is an amazing source for getting clear-cut data on where we're at and a lot of different attendance points. So in terms of incentives, and this is, like I mentioned, the fun part where I don't have to just be the behavior and discipline. This is a principle I get to tell kids they're doing a great job, so it gets back a little bit for me. Well, the first one's actually more about teachers, so this is something that I think is often overlooked. But if our teachers are struggling to take accurate attendance, then it's hard for us to know, is that kid in his class or not? So what we started doing, not at a regular interval, but usually once a month or every other month or so, kind of quarterly, I guess, I would just pick teachers that had accurate attendance, and I would pull their name in the hat and I'd get them Dutch Bros or something low like that, but fun, because we want them to recognize that, hey, it matters when we're taking accurate attendance and we care when we're doing it the right way. The other one was really about the visibility of attendance, is VIP parking. So this was students, happen to be juniors. They have, we put all their names in the hat and we pulled about 14 with 90% or better attendance to get, and you guys may have seen on your way in, but the front row parking right there with the signs out in front of the main office entrance. And the power behind that is not only rewarding those 14 students that have been showing up all year, but showing other students, staff, and community that we value when we're here. You know, that visibility is important. Another one we did, AG attendance competition. So we looked at data from March to April, and we tracked the AG group, homeroom, that had the most growth from March to April in each grade level. And the winner for the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors, so there's 4 class winners, earned a pizza party. And we just went in and gave them pizza, and we said, we really appreciate you guys being there, being here consistently. And that was good for us to look at. It's often in attendance work, it's rewarding those who are here consistently, which is important, but you also got to recognize growth, because life does happen, and there's things that take people away from school and work, and showing up after something happened or you had a dip in your attendance is really key, and that's what we want to do with that attendance competition, is look at our growth. The last thing we just wrapped up today, in fact, we've been doing it for the last few days, is giving out individual prizes for students that have been showing up at 90% or better all year. And that, I did a big announcement a few days ago and just said, we're going to call you if you get, it's kind of like golden ticket in Willy Wonka. If you get that, you're getting a prize. And again, back to the visibility of attendance, that was really fun and rewarded our students. A couple data points here. There was quite a few areas of growth. So this is the kind of nuts and bolts of it. But I wanted to point out these because I think they speak the most to what's changed in the culture of the school. So I'll try to, the first one's a little funky, but I'll explain this. So that in 24-25 last year, where it says 5,741 days, that is every single period missed by a student, including total days down to 1 period, excused and unexcused. So anytime the student was not in school, added up, what does it look like in days total? That's how many days. And we've got 1,200 students here, so that seems like an astronomical number when you start thinking about every single period adding up for all the students in the school throughout the entire school year. You can kind of see how we'd get to that large of a number. So that's where we were last year at June 1st. This year we're at 3,053. So you can see a significant decrease there in just overall amount of periods that students are in school this year compared to last. And I think the one that we're most proud of as an admin team, and it really is a staff, it's not just about us, it's about our teachers and making sure we're doing things the right way, is unexcused absences. So students just not being there. They're leaving with campus without permission, they're skipping, they didn't get called, they didn't have their parent or guardian call them out when they were supposed to. Total class periods, 11,772 last year. This year we're down to 5,000, which is just awesome. 68% decrease. That shows that kids, when they are gone, they're doing it the right way and they're just in class more often. So my last thing, keys to success. Don't say it. I get fired up. Attendance work is just the easiest way to show that you care. It's low-hanging fruit, but it's simple, it's effective, it's awesome. Lots of coaching for both students and parents and guardians. So we had to explain, like, when your student is gone, you have to call them out that day, or else it's going to be an unexcused absence. Or you may have communicated to them that they have a dentist appointment at 2, but if we don't know, that looks like a skip, and then we're liable for their safety. So just a lot of coaching with parents and guardians, because it does happen. We had to do a lot of that. Staff buy-in, just making it a fun thing, but let them know through the AG competition, the parking lot, like, we want our kids to be here, making it a positive thing. Like I said, making it visible. It's not a secret. We care. We want you here. We're going to reward you for being here, and we're going to support you when you're not. And then just the last thing, it's just a great attendance team. These are the names of everybody on our attendance team: Esmeralda Mraz, Jenny Alger, Reed Ortiz Shepard, and Barnabas Wong. Without them, none of this would be possible. So I just want to give them recognition behind their work. So it's been a good year. We've got a long ways to go next year.
Nice job.
That's great work, and you'll have impact in other data later.
Hopefully, that's what we're hoping. Thank you.
Very much.
And I think probably those high engagement strategies that you talked about earlier under your instructional section, that has a big impact on your student attendance. So congratulations on both of those fronts. It's impressive.
And if you've seen us in the halls, because we got mobile carts and
Yep. I know I'm in Josh's office
where's
whenever
your
I'm
hall
on a
pass?
Love it.
They know we're out there, so they
That
just
helps
stay
too.
put.
I know we gotta get going, but this one's very important to me. It's a pet peeve, because the real world, not showing up to work, I'm not feeling it, has massive impacts on everybody. And so if we're teaching our kids the good things about attendance, also the why it matters, the life lesson in it, there's gonna be some days that you just don't wanna go, but you still have to. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
And yes, I wanted to comment about the mobile carts. It is awesome to see you guys out there.
We're trying to learn some tricks, but Mr. Jones.
So this is a kind of a snapshot of what happened athletically this year. I didn't realize that we could have multiple slides
I do like your slides.
Yours is the like the anchor. It's like the.
I got
Yeah.
it.
Yours is the coolest slide.
But you can see at the very top, we had 3 state championships this year. Football in the fall, dance was a very rare double state champion. They are the only school in Oregon that has won the 2 in 1 year in the traditional and jazz category. Girls soccer was their second league championship in a row. Girls swimming were also district champions this year. They won it 3 years ago, I believe. And then our boys track team were district champions and also finished 3rd at the state. On top of the 3 state team championships, we had 5 individual groups that were individual state champions. Our 4x100 meter relay team with Keyshawn, Kellen, Sutton, and Wyatt. Scout Haugen, who is a freshman, won the girls state high jump championship. Caden Drewliner was the boys high jump state championship. The interesting thing about Caden is his highest jump this year was 6 feet 9 inches, and his dad is just a shade under 6'9", so he can literally jump over the top of his dad. In the girls shot put, Maddie Aarons was the state champion. Maddie also played softball, so her practices were really limited. But if Maddie would not have been the state champion, Eleanor Moore finished second. So they were 1-2 in both district and then also at the state level. When Eleanor threw, Maddie would throw just right behind her and would usually throw it about an inch or 2 farther. And then Eleanor would throw an inch or 2 farther, and then Maddie would throw it a little bit farther. And pretty soon they just run out of turns. And then we had our first state championship swimmer this year in the 100 meter breaststroke, and that was Colin Ross. And so you put all those things together, there were 7 state championships this year. 8? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, 8.
Yeah,
You're right, 8. Girls basketball, these are just some snippets from some of our other programs. Girls basketball played at the final site for the 12th year in a row. That is with the exception of the one COVID year where there were no games. And the final site is when it gets down to the final 8. Those have been always either at Oregon State. In the last couple of years, they've been over at Linfield. Maggie and Ashlyn Davison finished 3rd in doubles, girls tennis doubles. That tied for the highest finish by a girls team in school history. Baseball won their first state game since 2018. Went down to North Eugene for a first round playoff game. North Eugene was a number 3 seed. Silverton was a number 14 seed, and when it was all done, Silverton, they had beaten North Eugene, I want to say 11-3 or 11-2, something like that. What was it?
Yeah, 9-1.
Thank you, James. James was at the game.
James is probably there.
9-1. I was watching most of the game until some of the North Eugene coaches got a little excited and got themselves into trouble, and it was very interesting because our folks and our fans were they were awesome. This year we also had over 60 all-league selections, and that's through all of our sports, and we had over 25 all-state selections. This is a different slide than the one I put in, but that's okay. We also had 2 OSA State Coaches of the Year, Dan Lever in football and Emily Sword in dance. Pretty high honor to be an OSA Coach of the Year, and they both well-deserved honors. Even though athletics is now, after the state track a couple of weeks ago is finished, we are ramping up for 26-27. We have registration opening pretty soon. Summer leagues have started for most of our teams. Camps are starting next week with our coaches in their youth camps, which will be going most of the summer. So it was a very, very good year for our students, student athletes, and our coaches. It's always fun to watch them compete at the highest level against all of the competition around the state. And Silverton over the last 15 years has really distanced itself and has moved up to kind of the upper echelons of schools with the Wilsonvilles and the Summits, although we beat Summit for the state championship. And so it has You know, I was fortunate that I went to school at Silverton, and I look at the student athletes today compared to what they were, you know, 45 years ago, and it's amazingly how different they are. And I just don't know where they come from. There are just so many good ones. They just are passionate, they're committed, they work hard, and our coaches have done a great job of showing their love to their players.
That is all from the high school. Do you have any questions or?
No, great report, great, it's great to walk around the halls, see the smiling faces and spirits up, and your whole staff and kids are all responsible, but you four play a big part in it, and how you work together, and it carries off into everybody else.
In creating an atmosphere of excellence.
Yep.
That's our goal.
Good to see.
Can I make one last comment?
Yeah, I don't know. This is not on the slides, Andy.
So, you know, all of the things that the three of them said, plus Sarah said, you know, this is my 4th year at the high school, but 66 years in the community. And I don't think I've ever been part of an administrative team that has been as dedicated and committed for students as what it is right now. And when you get those type of people, you know, great things happen, because they make great things happen. And this is a high-functioning group who loves what they do, and they love the people that they get to come in and see every day. I know for myself, and I think the other ones can echo it, there's not a day that I don't get up and I can't wait to come into work. And that's a rarity in life today. There's a lot of people, and Josh, you were talking about it earlier, where, you know, some days you just don't feel like coming in. And fortunately for me, I never have those days. I mean, I'll even come in on a Saturday and Sunday just so I can come in, because it feels so good to walk through the doors. But there's a reason why the atmosphere and the culture and the environment is at such a positive place, and it's because of what these 3 people do. We've got a great leader in Kirsten, who has kind of directed things and you know, filled out, you know, defined roles on who's doing what. And so if you want to give the true credit to one individual, it has to go to Kirsten. But it's a team sport, and the team seems to work, well, it does work very well together. So I know that we enjoy serving our community, we enjoy serving the district office, and we enjoy serving the school board. And I for one, am looking forward to 26, 27 already, even though we're still got a couple of days left.
I know I said thank you to you guys privately, but I'll say it publicly. It's impressive. Thank you guys a lot. We asked a lot of you. Cell phones, attendance, you guys crushed it. And then you guys did a great job with graduation. So thank you so much.
We're happy to be here.
Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, you guys. Thank you.
Oh, and KJ, thank you for eliminating the interim from your name.
Okay, we don't have number 7, so financial report and process recap. Tom, you got the floor.
Oh, it's the other deck, Daniel. Yep. There you go. Well, thank you very much for letting me follow up from the enthusiasm of the high school admin team. I mean, just riding their coattails. Same message, really. We're very excited budget-wise this year, and enrollment-wise, which I'll start with. Enrollment picture, we're up. Good news from last year, about 1/3%, 0.3%. Right now we're about 3616, so we're down 4 from the previous month. And we're lucky. I think we're really lucky to be up. We're hearing from other school districts around us that they are down. Statewide, of course, on overall, most are down at least a small amount. In fact, a larger district to the north of us is down more than 3%. So our enrollment numbers are strong, and we're thankful for that. Budget-wise, revenue-wise, we're in great shape. It will be at least 100% of what we budgeted, which is always very good news. In June, sometimes we have some late property taxes that come in and some other things, but it could be a little bit higher, but at least right now the projection is to be right about 100%. And then expenditure-wise, pretty much the same as last month, which is really great. So for several months now, we've been projecting kind of a straight line of the end of the year, even with having to buy a lot of the technology because of what's going on in terms of price increases in the world and semiconductor prices. We've had to add a lot to this year's expenditures that we could have put off to next year but paid more. We still were able to get kind of that straight line. And the teaser is we're still projecting about $4.5 million in ending fund balance for this year, which is right at that 8% mark, which is, again, really excellent. A lot of other districts are struggling to maintain 2 or 3%. So it's nice to hit our targets and nice to monitor that so closely. I do want to say, really thankful to my staff this past year. One of the things we've just really tried to concentrate on is having no silos, opening up all the folders, showing everybody shares with each other how everything works, so you kind of have that knowledge transfer and kind of working as a team. For me personally, it's been very enjoyable. It's also been necessary because I have never been in something so chaotic as public education K-12 finance. And I thought I was in some pretty chaotic places, having worked at PERS and at PCC before and other places. So shout out to my staff and very thankful to them for all their hard work this year. Any questions on the budget?
No, just want to comment, great job, and you know, you talked about riding Curtail's enthusiasm in high school. However, it's very enthusiastic that we know where we're at, and it's a positive, and you've done an excellent job of educating all of us, your staff, everybody on staff, you know, our administrators, our rest of the district office, and us as board members, and public in general, to know what is going on, where it's going on, and what has to change. And I know you have to say no to people sometimes, which isn't the most fun.
Yeah.
But I know once in a while you get to say, hey, yeah, I found this, we could do, okay, then they're happy. So
It's fun to, while you're pulling your own hair out trying to understand something, let everybody else participate in the same process and teach them what we're struggling to understand, because there's so many moving parts. It's really been something unbelievable to me. So my next presentation is just kind of a recap of where we are in the FY27 budget process. We have an approved budget as of this moment. And just to kind of recap the last few steps, the Budget Committee reviewed the proposed budget, completed the requirement to receive public comment, and approved forwarding the FY26-27 budget to the board for adoption by a unanimous vote of 10-0 on April 23rd, 26. We've done all the required budget hearing notices, published them and have it on our website per ORS 294. So tonight, we're asking the board to conduct a budget hearing, to possibly adopt the budget, make appropriations, impose taxes, all by resolution. And I'll just do a quick recap of a couple things. Once again, the FY27 budget was developed with the vision and goals such as the following: to ensure the budget is designed to support the district's strategic plan and our strategic goals, to maintain a focus on increasing efficiencies, reducing costs, and both the short-term and long-term financial projections were involved in creating the budget. I think good examples of that is we are adding some staff this next fiscal year, but we're also making reductions to balance that. And that's kind of our future. We're going to have areas where we're going to need to add, and we're going to have to continue to find things to reduce and become more efficient to keep that in balance and to make that fit the forecasts of the budget. Building a 5- and 6-year model has really helped because it's given a long-term context, not just for the next year, but when you talk about things that have 3%, 5%, 7% increases year over year, you need to see what that looks like when you pull that out 4 or 5 years, and that's helped us a lot. We've continued to strengthen reserves and increase the district's long-term financial stability. Again, we're lucky, just not a lot of school districts right now can almost double their reserves. We began prioritizing long-term deferred maintenance needs across the district. And again, keeping that $500,000 capital reserve and shoring that up has been very important. A recap of the budget in terms of all funds, it's an 8.3% increase. And that might sound really large. Wow, 8.3%, but keep in mind, more than half of that are just normal assumed cost increases with personnel. A third of that is increasing reserves. 17% of that is really stuff beyond our control, inflation, cost increases from contracted services, et cetera, et cetera. And then for the general fund specifically, it's a little bit less, but it's 8.1% for that increase. And it's really kind of the same. 55% of that increase are just normal cost increases that we assume for personnel and benefits. About a third are increasing the reserves, both the budgeted ending fund balance and the general operational contingency for the general fund. And a little bit less, about 11% of that increase are those cost increases, those inflation impacts from contracted services and materials and supplies. So kind of in conclusion, the currently approved budget for FY27 is aligned with the priorities identified in the superintendent's budget message. No material changes have been made to the budget since it was approved by the Budget Committee on April 23rd. The approved budget maintains the permanent tax rate authorized under Oregon law and includes debt service tax levies necessary to meet voter-approved debt obligations. Silver Falls School District Finance staff has thoroughly reviewed the budget and believe it complies with all aspects of ORS 294, Oregon budget law. So tonight's required board action, again, open a public hearing, receive public testimony, have any board questions, and then close the public hearing, and then vote to review and vote to approve the resolution to adopt the approved budget, making appropriations and imposing and categorizing taxes. So that's my summary of the next steps.
Can I add one small thing?
Yes.
So there is a seismic grant included in this budget, which is a sizable amount. It's like, what, $2.5, $3 million?
Correct.
Yeah, that if we don't get those funds from ODE, that would be, we have to put it in here so that once we get it, we can spend it. So I just wanted to make sure, because that looks like a lot higher than what we're accustomed to seeing, and part of that is that seismic grant, if we get it, but we haven't heard that yet.
We got another one, or is this Silvercrest?
No, Silvercrest seismic grant
It's all
was
done.
already approved and done.
So we got another one?
So we can apply for these.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we have applied for an additional
When are
seismic.
those adjudicated? When are those given out? When do we know?
I believe it's September. We should probably hear the news of it for, I think it's at least 2 school sites that we apply for. And again, we have no idea
We have no idea.
whether or not we're going to get it, but we'll budget as if we do, and then we don't. We'll obviously have the revenue to go ahead with the projects if we don't get it.
Yeah, September would be the would be that latest. I think I knew when I took over last time that we had the Silvercrest seismic grant, so I think I knew in July, as I had to meet with ODE. So hopefully we'll hear soon, I hope, sooner rather than later.
Okay, now then, we'll officially open the budget hearing for the 2026-27 fiscal year. And I'll ask Tom to go over the budget, the resolution and everything concerning it, and then I'll allow for public comment concerning the budget.
Should have brought my larger glasses.
Oh, you can. That plus and the,
Oh, there you go. Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah.
You can make it bigger?
Yeah. Bigger it is.
What's that?
Hmm?
Sorry, I'm learning technology here. You can make it full screen on your laptop. Okay. I will review the resolution. Resolution is as follows. Be it resolved, the Board of Directors of Silver Falls School District Board J hereby adopts the budget for FY 26-27 in the amount of $90,888,774. This budget is on file in the school district office at 612 Schlater Street, Silverton, Oregon 97381. Appropriations are as follows. For the general fund, a total of $58,005,080. For the special revenue funds, again, our grant funds, mostly, a total of $12,454,894,000. For the debt service funds, which is determined by all the principal and interest schedules for those debts, a total of $9,473,534. The capital project funds, this includes the seismic grants that our superintendent just mentioned. The budget total is $3,280,000. Internal service funds, so these are including support services and internal funds, it's $1.4 million, $1,400,369. And trust and agency funds, which includes kind of the funds where we hold the money for our charter schools. Total budget of $3,374,897. Again, appropriations for all funds in terms of what you actually appropriate is $87,988,774. The total for unappropriated, so that's the amount that's set aside for ending fund balance that you cannot spend, is $2,900,000 for, again, a total budget of $90,888,774. This includes the following imposed taxes. The permanent tax rate to be certified of $4.5458 per thousand for the permanent tax rate. And for the debt service under repaying our GO bonds is $4,681,222. Any questions on the resolution?
I'll now open it up to, from the public for any questions or concerns about the budget we'll be voting on to adopt later in the meeting and be shared by the public at this time. So, is there anyone who has any questions or concerns? Okay. Is there anyone online before I close it? Okay. Okay. Budget hearing is closed. And now we'll return to the regular meeting. And administrator and staff reports.
Point of order, Chair. Do we have public comment available for outside the budget?
Oh, good point.
Yeah, we should have.
Probably
We
nobody
should
here,
have,
but-
yes, we should
Yeah.
have, yes, yes. Is there any public comment for board business in general? Anything online?
I don't see any hands.
Okay, okay. Now we'll move on. Thanks, Josh. Superintendent report.
Okay, good evening. Tom, can I have the
Oh, sorry.
memo? Thank you. Let's see if this works from over here. Okay. So my report tonight is mostly celebratory in nature, so I'm going to give you a little, a few snippets of our recent graduation ceremony. And I just want to really commend our high school team for how beautiful our graduation ceremony was this year. I thought it was really eloquent, and I love seeing our staff there. I thought it was really beautiful, and everyone in the robes. I just thought it was really a beautiful ceremony and a beautiful evening, and I just wanted to commend them on their efforts, because I think that was a really special way to end the year for those kids. So I thought that was great. So we're going to have some fun pictures, and I'm also going to announce, I'll give you a little bit of information about our new director of facilities. So this, I'm going to have to go to my PowerPoint because that is very small. This is Javier Torres, and he is our new facilities director, and he starts on the 25th, and he brings 20 years of facilities and custodial experience. from the North Clackamas School District. His career reflects a deep commitment to service and hard work, and he began as a custodial substitute and progressed through different roles to become lead custodian and head custodian at the elementary and then the middle and high school level. He has a real hands-on experience that has provided him with a real great understanding of what it takes to maintain safe and welcoming, efficient learning environments for students and staff. And one of the things that really set him apart was his knowledge of school facilities and all the different aspects of that part of the business. Over the past 4 years, he's served in an administrative leadership role and has overseen more than 70 employees across 32 sites. So he's deeply involved with employee management, which is a really great attribute to have. He managed a district-wide custodial substitute program, and he led their gym floor refinishing program, which served 28 schools. He also has a bachelor's degree in social science with a minor in public administration business from Washington State. So I thought that was interesting. He's a Clackamas County native, and he comes from a family of educators and other folks who were always involved with the school system in a variety of capacities. He's been married for 14 years, and he enjoys spending time with his 12-year-old daughter when he's not working. He hits the golf course occasionally, and I think he's going to be a great attribute to Silver Falls. So we're really excited about having him on board, and we're super excited that he can start on the 25th. So there's a quote from him in the slideshow about how excited he is, and so when you see him in the district, please give him a warm welcome. Okay, now on to the seniors. So our kids have a great tradition, our seniors do, of going to different buildings where they went to elementary school, and this is a real effort to get these kids around the district because our district is so spread out, and so they get on buses and they go to the different K-8s and whatever elementary buildings they were in, and it's just really cool to see them walk through. It always makes me tear up a little bit, and the teachers are always super excited to see them. And so it's really inspirational, and we always run over to the middle school from the district office and watch them come through. And that is really, that's a huge group of them. So it's really very cool. And so here's some pictures with different staff members. And then a couple more pictures, like Palmer there in the middle. And kids in front of Butte Creek, and they were just walking the halls, and they're all over the district that day. It's really cool. And then Daniel's going to play a quick video, I think. This is the actual middle school tour. This is part of it. Like, they walked through it for a long time. Great job getting ready for them. They had streamers, and they had the music going, and I will tell you the middle school needs a new PA. It was very
We need a new building.
yes, they do need a new
With a
building.
PA.
Yes, with a new PA, yeah. So that was really an exciting day, and we really appreciated being involved in those activities. It was just great fun. So that's my superintendent report for the evening, and I'm going to be back with you for the bulk of my report, which is under long range and all that. So,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Now, do we have more on seal biliteracy, or is that taken care of?
No, that was up under the high school. Sorry about that. That's
Okay,
an error.
okay. Just wanted to clarify. So, okay, under discussion items, the capital improvement plan.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to go down to 13B. Capital improvement is part of the long-range facility plan. So I think we should do our you know, a little chat about it first. So if Daniel could bring our PowerPoint up. So I'm going to welcome a couple people, and we're going to come to the middle there. If I can get out of here, there's a lot of cords. So, wish me luck. Yeah. I'm kind of a claw. It's just like a maze. You guys are trying to hear you. Okay, so I'm going to welcome a couple friends with me here this evening. So we have our partners here from Brick tonight. This is Elisa Warner. And she played a really integral part of our long-range facility planning process that was, gosh, it started in January?
Yes, January.
Yeah, it started in January, so it was quite a process. And then Amy Coyle is also joining us this evening, and she is a parent and served on this team. And we thought it was important to bring our diverse perspectives. And I know many of you sat in some way, shape, or form on that team throughout the year, and so we're really appreciative of your efforts to sit through that, because it was quite a process. So we are going to share the slideshow, and so we will work through that. So I'm going to take slide number 1, and then the bulk of the rest of my work will be in the bond area. But the long-range facility plan, it really summarizes the district's facility needs that are going to happen over the next 10 years. It aligns our needs with the district's educational vision and projected enrollment, and I think that's really important because we want to be all aligned. And so when the high school was talking about some of the initiatives they're working on tonight, I thought, yep, this is like, you can see how it's all starting to dovetail together. And I think that's really important because I think that how we function, our collective efficacy, is higher and more impactful when we work together in a synergized kind of forward motion. That's really important. The long-range facility plan is a requirement from ODE for the Awesome Grant, and it also helps us prepare for future bond planning. And I think when we did it this time, we really tried to think outside the box. I think Daniel was the one that started that. You know, think outside the box and really try and find a way to move the district forward and to really manage the great need that you're going to see in this report. We considered several things when we talked about facilities planning. So we had already done a study of population projection by flow analytics, and so we looked at that. We looked at educational adequacy assessments of our school facilities, which to me, that was really the heart and soul of why we care about facilities in the district, because we are trying to provide the best possible education for our kids. And so when you look at that educational adequacy assessment and you look at the dashboard, it really gives you an idea of where we're missing the mark and where we need to do better. And I think that was really impactful to the team when we looked at those and said, we got to do something different here. We have a lot of descriptions of physical improvements that need to be made to existing schools to meet, you know, minimum standards, potential site acquisition needs for future construction. We talked about coordination with local government and planning agencies. So we've met with the city and we meet with Marion County, and so all those people are really important partners in this work. We did a lot of community outreach and stakeholder involvement, and I think we're going to talk about the diversity of the team a little bit here in a minute. We talked about our historic buildings, which we have a couple, financial plans to meet school facility needs, alternatives to new construction and or major renovation. This was an important part of this process because I think our community is practical in nature and pragmatic, and because our need is so huge with almost $300 million in facility needs across the district, we have to find a way to be really practical and really smart about what we do with taxpayer funds and how we move the district forward. And so that was really important to the team, and I think we've already seen from our community how important that is to them. And then we talked about measures to increase efficiency in different sites and how we can do that. And then we also included a 10-year capital improvement plan, which is required for the Awesome Grant. Okay.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about the diversity of the committee that went with us along on this journey. So as Kim mentioned, we really were thoughtful about assembling a committee of voices that represented a diverse group of people from not only representing the in-town schools, but also the rural K-8s. We had parents, we had community members, community leaders. We had, just a really great group of voices to come together and really collaborate on this plan. I will say, working with a lot of districts, that it's a big ask, right, to have people come to the table throughout, multiple meetings over months of time. And often we have attrition, we lose people, right, like as time goes on. This group, we had pretty solid attendance, I would say, through the very last
solid.
meeting, which was really impressive. People were very committed to being part of the discussion, and that's kind of rare, I would say, in terms of other districts that I've worked with in the past. We also had a group of school administrators and teachers representing different schools in the district, and then also the administrative team as well. And then many of you as board members, right? We had Josh and we had Wally, who were there, I think, pretty much every meeting, and then Daniel and Sarah also alternated, and so we had the board voice in the room as well. And in addition to this, we also conducted 5 community meetings, and those were held at different school sites, and then one was a virtual meeting, so there was another opportunity for people to participate if they couldn't be there in person, and also to kind of see some of the conditions firsthand, right, at the different school facilities in the course of that conversation.
Thank you.
And so here you can see our meeting schedule. We met 7 times from January through May, so about a 5-month process. So the first meetings were really laying the foundation for the work ahead. So whenever we go into a process like this, in the beginning, there's a lot of just kind of downloading of data, right? There's a lot of information that we want to convey to the committee members so they can make informed decisions later. So a lot of the components that Kim talked about, the facility assessments, the educational adequacy assessments, the capacity analysis and enrollment projections, all of that needed to be conveyed to the committee members. So those first meetings were really focused on that, kind of downloading that information. And then after that, the subsequent meetings were more collaborative and working through some of the decision making, not only that led to the development of the capital improvement plan that Kim will talk about later, but also the bond package recommendation.
I believe it's the same.
It is.
Yeah.
So I would say from my perspective as a parent and being part of this committee, I was actually really excited to go to the meetings every time. I don't know if everybody shared my level of excitement, but getting to hear and see things about our district to take me out of just the view I have of my one school that my kids go to. Going to the community meetings for me was really impactful to not only hear from the staff and the parents from there, but to see schools that I've never walked in and to really take the data that we were being given and put, kind of the face to the name of it. And for me, that really helped to build this bigger picture of where the district is at with the level of need in the facilities. The team at Brick did a really great job of presenting us with a variety of data points and then supporting us in making sense of the current state of the district. They gave us a lot of different structures for discussions and activities that helped us really keep the focus on the whole rather than our individual needs. And there were moments where we all strayed to what we really thought, but they kept us in line and kept us focused on what does the overall community, what do our students as a whole need? And I just really appreciated all the structures within the meetings.
Yeah, we agreed to disagree once in a while, right?
Only once in a while.
Only
though,
once
which
in a
is kind
while.
of-
Okay, so.
Yeah, so I just wanted to go through quickly the major components of the long-range facilities plan. So I believe all of you have a copy of that electronically, and it's a bit of a weighty document. So I won't go through this in too much detail, but Basically, this report summarizes the work that was presented to the Long Range Facilities Planning Committee and the work of that committee. So all the data that I talked about that we shared with them in those beginning meetings, that's in this report, as well as information on the process that they went through and the conclusions they came to relative to the capital improvement plan. So we have a description of the process. We have North Stars for long-range facilities planning, and Amy's going to talk about that here in a minute. We have our facility condition assessment data, educational adequacy data, enrollment projections, capacity analysis, and the 10-year capital improvement plan. So those are the major sections.
And it is a long report. It's over 80 pages. I sent it to you good and early so you could get a good look at it.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah, you're
Appreciate
welcome.
it.
Yeah.
So this is a little snapshot here of, the data is broken down by school facility. And so this is kind of a typical, intro couple pages for each school facility. You've got the capacity table at the top and the floor plan showing the current use of all the spaces in the school facility, and then information on all those different aspects, building condition, educational adequacy. So that's provided. And then the enrollment capacity graph also on the bottom right-hand corner there. You can see where the school is currently relative to what percent of the classrooms are being used for instruction.
And I will say, we do have videos that'll keep trickling out with snapshots of each building, and so we built those over the course of doing the long-range facility planning, and so that you could access it a couple of different ways. So there's a snapshot of each building. I had a district level one that came out in the last few days, and so those will keep coming about different buildings.
So the North Stars were really important because once we started looking at all of the different reports, it was impossible to ignore the high level of needs at every single school in the district. And when I can speak for myself, being faced with that enormity of how much needs to be fixed and addressed, and knowing that money is not endless, we had to really think about how can we tackle and prioritize these high level of needs in a way that really grounds us and allows us to move forward and not just spin in this, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. So again, Brick did a really great job of leading us through an activity to identify our North Stars, which there are 4 of them. I'm not going to read all the details, but the 4 are high quality education, safe and accessible, comfortable and conducive to learning, and fiscal stewardship. And again, we talked as a group about all of these things, and it was not something that just jumped out that we automatically knew these were the 4. It did take some discussion, but looking at survey data, hearing again from the community, staff surveys, this is where we landed as these are our top priorities, and using these to guide us in making further decisions.
And we see these same themes when we look at our strategic plan, which is nearly complete. So like high quality education is a major component of the strategic plan, as well as fiscal stewardship. So, we have an element in there of like, maintaining facilities and, trying to, and that was added by the district team as a 4th goal. So we did 3 goals with the main strategic planning team, but then we thought the fiscal stewardship, because it's so important to the board, and because it's so important to this plan, that we should include that on the strategic plan too. So there is a bit of overlap. And then we're starting to see some of these elements, like even in bargaining. And so like recently, our licensed bargaining unit has asked us to ensure that we have comfortable classrooms that are temperature controlled. And in the district right now, we don't have that. So in August, it's warm in many buildings across the district, and our teachers need that type of environment to be the most effective. And so some of what we're proposing in this plan is multifaceted and is hit in a variety of ways across the district. Okay, so capital improvement. So the capital improvement is a planning document. It reflects, our current knowledge about our facilities conditions and our priorities and what our resources are. Thank you. And it really is a tiered plan that has a tier 1, which is years 1 through 5, and then tier 2, which is 6 through 10. And then it has a tier 3, I believe, too, that is like 10 plus, yeah. And so the projects may shift as conditions change. So you can imagine You know, like last year when we had the truss issue at Robert Frost, I mean, thank God we had a capital improvement fund in the budget. There were hundreds of thousands of dollars of repairs that needed to be made on that building immediately. So that bumps it to tier 1, right? So when you're looking at this type of plan, it is something that ODE wants us to try and adhere to, but if we had an emergency, it does allow for some flexibility to be adjusted if we need to. But I think what it does is it gives you the comfort of knowing that you are addressing things that the committee thinks and that the community thinks are most important for our buildings. So tier 1 in this plan includes some bond funded projects and some non-bond projects. So it would depend on, what happens with the bond in November. So tier 1 includes, replacement of the Silverton Middle School. And I'll go into the further into the bond recommendations from the committee here in a little bit. But they're in tier 1 because they're expected to occur within the next 1 to 5 years, and they require voter approval. Non-bond tier 1 projects may be funded through grants, state funds, or even operational budgets. So for instance, we prioritize replacing the chiller on top of the high school. So the chiller, the air conditioning, it broke several times during the summer last year, once right before a board meeting, but Vance was able to get it back on. So that equipment is overdue, and I think sometimes we don't really understand that our high school is nearly 30 years old, parts of it. So the bond that passed the high school, the bond that passed to build the high school was 1996, the first phase of it. And so this building really is nearly 30 years old. And so while it is our flagship and while it is a timeless, beautiful building, it still has, 30-year-old parts. Like we had one of the hydraulic fluid came down out of the door the other day in the high school, and it smells like natural gas. So it's really, alarming when you don't know what it is. It took us a hot minute to figure it out. So it's things like that, anytime you have a 30-year-old house, there are things that start to go wrong with it. And so even our flagship needs work, and it's listed on the capital improvement plan. This is just more about, is this you or is this me? Is this still me?
Yeah, but either way, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of already did all this, yeah. So you can kind of see the tiers as they're listed, and tier 1 is clearly our top priority projects. Okay, any questions on all of that? Okay, so before I talk about the bond package recommendation from the committee, I want to first start by talking to you a little bit about how important and how much we value our rural community. So I came from a small school district. I had 24 kids in my graduating class. I had a class of 14 in kindergarten. So I came from this little tiny school district, and I really understand the beauty and the value of a rural education. And I think our committee understands that too. So when our committee was sitting and talking about this, we understand that Silver Falls is an unusual unified district built on a lot of small rural districts in the outlying areas. But we think that's what makes it cool. That's what makes it special. That's what makes it unique. And so the bond package that we're talking about recommending to the board is a little bit unusual in that it actually tackles some of these long-range facilities issues by building a large K-8 building on the west side of town. And so I think it is an unusual proposition for you because it is not like any other traditional bond package we have talked about. And it is because we honor our K-8 families and because we care about maintaining that tradition and giving it longevity over time that we propose this to you. It's not to diminish it or delete it or to cancel it. It is to enhance it and to give it more life. I just want to be really clear about that. Okay. So the Long Range Committee has completed its work. We've worked since January, and We reviewed facilities assessments by ODE, so Bureau Veritas did those. Brick did their own assessments. Brick also brought engineers in to look at structural things. So it was a really thorough analysis. We looked at enrollment trends. We did a polling with Patinkin. Thank you, Tom. And we looked at all that data to develop a bond package recommendation for the board's consideration. So this package would be an $80 million proposed bond measure for November of 2026. And that is a renewal or a replacement bond. It is not additive to the taxpayer, so it maintains their current tax rate. And that's really important because when we talked about the polling and we talked to our taxpayers, they're like, you can't raise our rate. It was the #1 thing that came out on the polling. Don't raise our rate. And actually, when you look at these types of bond measures over the past voting, probably the last two elections, they're like 7 for 7. So these renewal bonds are actually passing in the state. Cascade just passed one. I think Ashland. So there were several districts in the May election that did pass a renewal bond, which is what this is called. The additive bonds were less successful. So if you increase the taxpayers' taxes, that was less successful. As we know, families are hurting. That's why, we have proposed a conservative bond measure that just maintains their current tax rate. Because what happens is when the high school is paid for, which it will be in June of 2027, then this bond would slide into that bond's place. It would replace Silverton Middle School. So Silverton Middle School is in very, very rough condition. It really needs to be replaced. I can't state that emphatically enough. For my board members, for my community, that building needs to be refreshed. And then we talked about building a new West Side K-8 school, which would consolidate the Prattam, Evergreen, and Central Howell communities into one larger building that would be similar in enrollment size and staffing configuration to Butte Creek. And then we would select high priority deferred maintenance projects from across the district. Questions? Okay. So when we talked about this in our committee, we did a 5 voting, and this is a high engagement strategy that, I don't know, Joe's probably used in the high school. So you can track kids and what they think about things with this. So if a fist was like, nope, I can't get my mind around it, I'm not there. 1 was like, I have major concerns, I want to talk more about it. 2 is like, I have some reservations, but I could probably get behind it. I just need to talk it out a little more. 3 was like, I'm not in full agreement, but I think that's how we should move forward. And then 4 is like, yep, I'm in good shape, ready to go. And 5 is like, all hands on deck, let's go. It's a hard yes. And so most of our committee members voted 4 or 5. So we had 3 committee members who were a 2 or a 3. And this was out of, I think, was like 25, 23, something like that. And so part of that was the ability to pass a bond, some of the hesitation. So a couple committee members expressed uncertainty about the bond's chances of passing, particularly with the inclusion of a new K-8 school. And then there were scope and budget concerns. So one committee member was worried that the bond is trying to accomplish too much with too little, and that actual construction costs could potentially exceed current estimates. So those were the 2 main areas that that small minority of people had.
Hey, Kim.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your transparency on that. Previous reports would try to scrub those negative, or maybe, I would say negative, maybe just concerning, like not full in, and appreciate that they're in, but it was 2 or 3 at the most out of the entire group.
Yeah.
But for you guys putting that in, I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, we are trying to be really transparent about this. It's really important for us. We're trying to manage our resources, and you've seen how difficult school finance is. I mean, Tom has illustrated that over and over again. And we're in good shape comparatively speaking, but we also did 20% of cuts 2 years ago, right? So we already reduced our staff we just got there before everyone else. Everyone else is our enrollment's gone down, and, they're in budget crisis now, where we just hit that a little sooner than everyone else. And to have already done our correction and kind of leveled out. But it's still like every day, one of my administrators says, "Hey, Kim, I need another staff member." And I'm like, well, I don't really have the ability to do that. And, I want to do that. I always want to do that. But I just fear that if we don't really think about how we move forward in an efficient way, we're going to be tasked with budget concerns again at some point. And then, so our bond recommendation, so, I've already talked about this, but after reviewing all those facilities assessments, the equity assessment, our long-term financial outlook, we recommend that the Silver Falls School District pursue an $80 million bond measure in November. That maintains the current bond tax rate. That is the most important part. The committee, and I'll let you guys speak to this a little bit. The committee recognizes that the bond approved by voters to complete Silverton High School is scheduled to expire in 2027, meaning that the high school is paid for, creating an opportunity to replace that debt while addressing the district's most pressing facility needs without increasing the current tax rate. And I've already talked about the 3 priorities. Anything either of you would like to add about that?
I would just highlight that we were presented, or we did explore other options of bonds, and that's where the meetings got the most spicy, is when we started thinking about other options, other ways to either spend this $80 million or even go above that. And so to come to the final recommendation, this is the one that we really, as a majority, got behind, that made the most sense after looking at all of the data along the way, looking through all of the discussions from January to now. So I would just say, personally, I feel the most solid with this when looking at other options. So yes, there are other ways we could do this, but this really will address the most needs that we have within our facilities.
When you look at the educational equity dashboard, this is the scenario that moves that the most into the green. So when you look at those different categories, that's where the map becomes the most attractive, like for student access to educational opportunity and equity. Elisa, anything you know? Okay.
Kim, can I add something too?
Yeah, of course, Tom.
So one of the other things I was asked to do is look at how this impacts the budget. I didn't know what to expect. And then going in and doing the deep dive and the full analysis was a little bit almost shocking to me. When you replace the 3 existing smaller schools with a larger K-8, you have a slightly higher enrollment capacity. For example, you can go from the current 290 across the 3 to up to 325 or a little more. When we look at the staffing models, they're more efficient. Your staff do a full 8-hour day, in other words, rather than a couple hours here and then driving to another school, doing a couple hours there or something like that. You leverage the hours much more effectively. And then finally, you disconnect yourself from all the capital needs and deferred maintenance needs of 3 schools that are going to be much older over the next 10 years. And using the ODE Bureau Veritas information combined with the efficiencies, the gain to the district's approximately $13.3 million for the next 10 years, which can then be used for other areas and other maintenance.
Where's that 13 million come from?
It comes from the increased enrollment capacity. It comes from the increased efficiency in staff. You're not actually really adding staff per student. You're actually becoming more efficient in terms of cost per student.
But you're not saving money.
You are saving money per student. You're also disconnecting yourself from more than $6 million in needed repairs and capital improvements and deferred maintenance.
It also limits the liability. It
And
reduces,
ADA stuff.
yeah, it reduces the liability for the district because these buildings would be ADA compliant. So they are more conducive to serving our kids with disabilities and to making sure that our families can have access. And, you know, I mean, you have the ability to like have a title teacher in one building all day. Like Central House title teacher is only there 2 hours a day. That's just an example. And PE and music and title, those are all like that. You know, you'd have a dedicated library. You would have a hot lunch for all the kids in a cafeteria. Like right now, Pradham has a cafeteria in the basement, but it's difficult for some students to get down into the basement if they have a disability. And Central Howell doesn't even have a cafeteria. So they have this little tiny room off the gym. So there's all these things that, you know, we could improve for our students that give them better access to electives, you know, modern facilities and, you know, heating and air conditioning. And as the climate changes, that will be important in order to continue school when it gets really super hot in Oregon in August and September. And so there were a large list of positives that I presented to the facilities committee on the last evening that highlighted some of those things that Tom has brought up. And I think that it really illuminated some of the things that were brought up by the education adequacy assessment, by the ADA assessment, by ODE. I mean, like ODE, for instance, wants us to have a principal full-time in Pradham and Evergreen. They told me, they said it's not safe, Kim, to not have a principal in those buildings. And so we don't have an administrator in those buildings all day. You can't, it's too expensive. So it's those types of, there's no office in those buildings for people to come into. There's no secure way for you to be let into the building. Like the only bathroom in Evergreen is in the basement. You gotta go down a set of stairs and back up. And while we love the beauty and the spirit of a K-8, we just want to make a better K-8 for our kids that has better access, better educational opportunities, and still has the beautiful flavor of a K-8, because we do think that's special. And, you know, like the other K-8s in the district would be enhanced and improved with other funds, especially if we got the Awesome grant. And so we would enhance safety across the district, and you know, we would work on that with the bond advisory committee, what our highest priorities were.
I for one don't need convinced. I mean, it's pretty apparent in the work that's been done and this sort of thing. The only thing I'm wondering about, do we have the runway for November? As far as getting all the I's dotted and T's crossed and everything, as far as elections, what we do here, everything.
Could I interject
Yeah,
on
we
that
can
one?
do it, yeah. Go ahead.
I guess two things. So Kyle, there was a guy named Kyle who was incredibly helpful for us in these meetings. Probably the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's our bond consultant.
So polling wise, he pulled different numbers, and it was very clear that 80 was the number.
Right.
And then he says, you guys got to go in November.
Yeah.
And he said, because if for some reason this isn't palatable to the public,
Right.
you can recharge, adapt, and go in May.
Well, I'm
So-
not questioning us going anywhere. I'm just wanting to verify that it's been looked at and.
Yes, it's possible.
And-
So the Awesome
Because I
grant-
know there's a
yeah.
lot of different things that need to happen.
Yeah, there are a lot of
And-
steps. There's one
The
deadline
steps.
on July 1st. I have them all on my calendar.
Yeah,
The
key
Awesome
dates
grant has
as
to be
far as
applied for
elections and everything.
Yeah, on July 15th. Board resolution in August for the
Yeah.
bond package. And then, you know, there's other deadlines and other things. And then it is a, you know, we have to get out and we have to interact with our community. We have to talk to them.
Mhm.
We have to find out why they didn't vote yes last time. We have to overcome those barriers, and we have to talk to them about how to move forward in a way that is fiscally responsible. And this wasn't my idea. This was the committee's idea.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't necessarily want to tackle this as a superintendent, to be really honest with you, because it's a big deal when you talk about consolidating these three schools. But I think you have a lot of great minds in Silverton and in the Silver Falls Unified Community outline the town of Silverton. Like, we have great people in all these neighborhoods who can combine their thoughts and ideas to come up with a beautiful K-8 that is, you know, reminiscent of View Creek or Victor Point or, you know, Silvercrest, Scotts Mills, all those great buildings that we have. And, you know, make a more efficient model on that west side of town that really manages those huge facilities issues we have with those 3 buildings. The other buildings have facilities challenges, but they're not as serious as those 3 buildings.
So I want to give a big kudos to the committee. The people that participated in it really did their job. They came out with a solution that to me really encompasses all the different areas and the different schools and will increase the services ability for the future of this school district. And that's really important. And I think that's going to be a big difference between this version of a bond measure and the previous version. We really have a concrete idea and plan on what we're going to do with these funds. And we fully, I know about this board, fully intend on being very, very responsible financially in our expenditure of that money and other money that I know you're going to work hard to get and that extra grants and so on. So that was really good. You guys did think out of the box, and I am very appreciative of that. That is really great. Thank you.
Just a couple thoughts I want to echo, just the appreciation for everyone that touched. This is a huge area that the district has struggled with for a while, and I feel like this is a plan and a vision that's going to carry us into the future for decades. You know, a couple of the main issues there were obviously the replacement of the middle school and then also preserving that K-8, and that's really, I think this presents an opportunity to carry that into the future. And then I think one of the reasons that I heard from feedback during the last bond is people that may have wanted to were just at a time where things were expensive and it was just the extra money. And so I think, you know, Kim, one of the really pushes that we put is for you to be fiscally responsible. I think this is like a huge testament to that, of like, this is not going to increase taxes. We have a budget, we have a plan. So this is pretty encouraging to see. And I think, yeah, I'll definitely be supporting it.
Thanks, Derek. Any other questions?
I think we need to be really careful on how we state that, though. It does increase taxes. It keeps the tax rate the same. Because if the voters don't approve this, the taxes go down. So I think you need to be very careful on how you state that.
We phrased it how the bond consultant told us how to phrase it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
right there.
It's replacing,
Yep.
and so it's gonna get on my soapbox here, probably a little early, but it's time as a community. We backed all these people and our students that are doing such excellence in less than desirable situations. We've already, because of budget constraints, we're already asking everybody, I mean absolutely everybody, to do more with less. And this is a way of helping and making it more efficient. And it's a need. This community, we built the high school over 2 stages. If you take away the high school, we have not built a building in this school since Robert Frost, when that was 71, I think.
Yeah, it's in 2 stages.
And it's decades old as far as the community putting their pride into their buildings, because we can do so much. I use the analogy of, for those in religion, the people make the church, not the building. Mm-hmm. Well, we're doing an excellent job of getting it done, kid-wise, student-wise, the results, but we just can't have the buildings fall down around them. And working in cubby holes and everything else. And as a community, we need to take that pride and show it for what we're getting. And as a lifetime Silvertonian that's gone through some of these buildings that still exist, it is one aspect that I feel, not ashamed's too strong a word, but I feel badly because we have not supported keeping our buildings up like they should to match the product we're putting out. And so I think it's, and a replacement bond is really a way to go. We're not getting everything fixed, but you've got a plan here that goes 10 years and beyond that we'll have to pick away with prudent financials and everything and good decisions to get some of the other things done. We're not going to get everything fixed with this bond, and don't want any illusion that that's going to happen. But we're going to fix two major areas. We're going to replace very aged buildings that are out of sync with society and everything, and yet still keep our archaic tradition, start a new dynamic in that area with their new building, and replace long overdue, fix up the middle school that is, I am ashamed of, that we call that our middle school.
Yeah, me too.
So.
And I think that will eventually impact our enrollment. I think families are hesitant about that building. And in order to preserve enrollment and to keep it stable, I think this is also prudent in that way. And it's what's right for kids. And so if we keep kids at the center of everything we do all the time, that's it, kids at the center. I mean, whether kids are in a 70-kid K-8 or whether they're in a larger K-8, it's still a wonderful K-8 experience in the country with the view of Mount Hood, and it's a good thing for kids. And we can still have that rural feel, but we also can have a beautiful modern middle school too that honors our community and how and it provides legacy for the city and the community of Silver Falls. And so I think that I think you have a unique opportunity here to lay down some legacy for our community. And if we can pull this off, it will be a major achievement. So that's all I have, I think. I think that was my last slide.
It says thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
No, but again, it's been reflected here. Thanks so much to all the people who worked in the committee and were diligent. We're there all the time.
They were. They showed up every
Great to hear.
time.
That's Silverton.
Yeah.
That's our district. That's Silver Falls
That
district.
is Silver Falls, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, seriously, I'm so sorry.
So just to be clear, Kim, we've taken care of discussion, both capital improvement and long range, both at the same time here now?
Yes, I believe, yes,
Okay.
yes, you have. 'cause
Okay, I mean,
yeah.
in my mind we have, but I just wanted to make sure that it's got everything covered.
Yeah, you definitely have. They were all in one package.
Yeah, okay, okay.
Sorry, this is like a rat's nest over here.
Okay, now we have the enterprise zones overview. Corey
so-
Misley from City of Silverton.
He's supposed to be online, I believe.
Good evening. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Wonderful. Sorry I'm not there in person. Good evening, Silver Falls School District Board members, Court Isley, City Manager at the City of Silverton. I'm standing in to an extent for Laura Conroy from the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments, who's been running point with Kip Morris from SEDCOR, the Mid-Willamette Valley Economic Development Agency, on redesignating the Silverton Enterprise Zone. We included some supplemental materials outlining the overview of what that is and the history of the Silverton Mount Angel Enterprise Zone that existed from 2013 to 2023. And we're now looking and engaging with our partners to redesignate that zone. So I don't want to go through all the elements, but definitely want to make myself available to answer any questions you have or take that back to our partners leading the effort to get any additional information and answers you may need. And I want to thank Kim to come to the May 15th meeting we had at City Hall. She joined Chief Miles from the Fire District and Christy from the Library District to meet with Laura and Kip to learn more about this. So she's been a great partner, staying plugged in and getting us to this point. So with that, I'll pause and try to address any questions you may have on the matter.
Well, first, for the public in general, could you just hit the highlights of what this resolution does? Because there's quite a bit of information there, but just a Reader's Digest, because we have people watching, and so that we can let people know a little bit about what's being asked of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Appreciate the opportunity. So the Enterprise Zone program in Oregon has been around for 40 years. And oftentimes you hear it referred to as sort of the only tool in the toolbox for local jurisdictions to help support higher quality jobs through short-term capital tax abatements. So ranging from 3 to 5 years on property taxes for new equipment and expansion. And there's been 73 over the entire state, and there's been thousands of projects, E-zone designated projects to help support business investment, leading to tens of thousands of jobs created through that. As I alluded to, Silverton created a zone, Mount Angel joined that zone between 2013 and 2023. During that time, we only had 3 projects leverage the E-zone. So this isn't something that's being taken advantage of or utilized over and over again, or dozens of times. It's more the exception, but nonetheless, it can really work well, focused on existing business expansion and job creation here in Silverton. And so this redesignation does not include Mount Angel. We worked with them earlier this year, and they decided not to participate. So with some new census data, we were able to actually draw a revised zone that essentially includes sort of the western half of the city of Silverton, so mostly our industrial park and our downtown commercial area. And so again, we need to work with our taxing districts to get this approved and designated. And once it is approved, any company that meets that eligibility criteria and makes the commitment to create and sustain the jobs at the area median income wages required are able to utilize this program.
And it's only new businesses, correct?
Correct, and it's really focused on traded sector economic development. So retail, construction, financial, other professional services like that are not eligible. We are seeking a hotel designation to be included. That was not included in the last go around. And other than that, it is essentially as it had existed for a decade up until a couple of years ago.
Other board members have questions?
I've got kind of just a clarifying question. So it's been a while since my college business course days, but my understanding is, the first couple of years of starting up a couple businesses, I'm going to reach out to a couple board members here who own businesses. Is the theory those first couple of years are the most challenging, and generally when a business is either going to succeed or fail, and so this is a opportunity to allow those new businesses to reinvest directly in the business? Is that the theory behind it?
I would say that's a good summarization of generally who you see tapping into this program. Businesses that are either completely new or relocating to Silverton, and they need that startup capital, correct?
Yeah, so I did a lot of research into this because it was, I didn't really know what it was, but I do now. Essentially, this is a tool to make yourself a more tax favorable environment for a new business to come in. Like maybe an Amazon, or I'm not saying like they've done this before, like where they go looking for places. Like, so like a business would come in, they don't have to pay the full fee of their taxes for 3 to 5 years. And so where that affects us as a school district, say like we'd be allowed to get $100,000 in taxes from their business. If they're a big business, we would forego that for this lowest rate of 15%. So they'd still have to pay us $15,000. So But if there's no business coming in, we don't get it anyways. So essentially, this is just trying to make Silverton more invitable for businesses to come in, which would provide jobs, opportunities, and then plus revenue for our school district as well. Where people would be opposed to, it's like, well, they don't want anybody here. Is that close, Corey?
Yeah, that's a good high level generic overview. I do want to add real quick, we are not trying to recruit Amazon or anyone, any data centers or anyone of that size or nature. We are working on a new economic development strategic plan and industrial lands readiness project, building off of and I'm sorry to rattle all this off at you guys. I just listened to the great presentations that you've had about the school year and the services and obviously the long-range facilities plan, et cetera, but we're doing an economic opportunity analysis and a new economic development strategic plan. And so when you have businesses that look to Malala or Staten or Woodburn or North Marion County, just to name some in close proximity, and they all have enterprise zones, this could be a competitive disadvantage if we don't have this option as well. But there is by no means like an avalanche of new businesses that we're trying to attract. This is sort of recreating the status quo of what we have historically had as again, a tool in the toolbox.
Corey, just to clarify, so you are recruiting, though, I think I heard you say a hotel, but not a call center.
We are working, we've conducted a hotel market analysis. We feel that Silverton would benefit from having at least one new hotel. Whether we play a role, as in like a public-private partnership or not, is to be determined. But we do think that a hotel would be a good addition to Silverton. And if we add in that component to the enterprise zone, they may be able to qualify if they meet the requirements. But if they don't, that doesn't mean they would automatically get this benefit.
But you're not actively recruiting any call centers?
Correct.
Corey, and I apologize to use that really bad example of Amazon. I have not heard that. I just know that's generally where they search. That is not us. I know that losing Bruce Pack was kind of a big deal, so, but
yes.
No, I have heard of no data centers or big companies, period. Clarifying.
But it is that's a good example because it's not just building a new building, it is the capital that's within the building oftentimes that companies are investing, potentially millions and millions of dollars on for their, their tenant improvements. So that would also qualify for this program.
Corey, what's our current rate for the enterprise zone?
I'm sorry, I cut out just briefly there.
Well, what's our current rate for the enterprise zone that's currently in place?
The current rate?
Yeah, the proposal here, you suggested 15%. Is that, or possibly defer it? What is it currently?
I would want to verify with Laura and Kip on that before I cited a number incorrectly.
Are you talking about on the resolution?
Yeah.
So school districts can pay anywhere from, or can access anywhere from 15 to 30%. And what happens is any type of tax that we take in that amount is we normally get local revenue, and then local revenue is subtracted from the state school fund. And so if we took extra revenue there, it would just would be less state school funds. So you should just take the 15% because it's more advantageous to encouraging business in the enterprise zone.
Right. Could we defer it entirely?
Oh, it says 15 to 30. I don't know. That's a great question, Wally. I can ask our attorney at the ESD and see if we can. Yeah, I can ask that part. Yeah.
Because we don't gain anything.
No.
The state just takes it out and spends it somewhere else.
Yeah, if they get a business in here, that's gravy.
Yeah, it just it helps promote business and industry in the city.
We do have an action item on this later.
Right.
We could do it in June. We could do it on June 22nd if we need to. If you need me to get the answer to that.
Okay.
Would you like me to do that?
Question to get answered.
I think it'd be helpful.
Okay, I can follow up with. I'll send him an email right now.
Any other questions?
We're
for
happy
Corey?
to.
I think Corey had an answer.
Did you
for us.
have something to say, Corey? Did I cut you
Uh,
off?
Sorry to interrupt, Chair. Just along those lines, if you think of anything and you want us to add and provide any additional information, via memo ahead of that June 22nd meeting, we will do that. We're not in a rush on this process. We've been working on it for quite a while to get it back going. So appreciate your consideration, your questions. And I'll coordinate with Kim to make sure if any other questions come up that we get answers to you all ahead of the 22nd.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Easement.
now we have sidewalk easement. And this is Mike Dahlberg and Corey from City of Silverton.
Corey, are
Yeah, thank you. So,
Okay.
Mike's. I told Mike to take the evening off, and I'd do my best to handle it. And so I want to start by saying that in my 2.5 years here in Silverton in this role, I've heard a lot about pedestrian safety, and in particular pedestrian safety around schools. Obviously, as I think we all know, we have a mishmash of city-owned and maintained streets, county streets, and ODOT state facilities throughout town. So we're trying to, and we've been successful, trying to increase the level of partnership with our county and state partners to get improvements, both short, medium, and long-term, in motion. And so what's before you tonight is a bit of a culmination of working collaboratively with Lonnie Radke and Carl Lund from Marion County's Transportation Engineering Department on some projects that we have upcoming on James Street, both at the C Street intersection and there with the path between Florida and Western. So specifically what you see tonight is the portion of pedestrian improvement facilities that the city would be paying for to construct. The county will help. James Street is a county road. The county will help with crossing locations and specifically ADA facilities. So we have a tentative commitment from them to construct a crossing at Western and James that would include an RRFB, or a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. Those are the activated signs that illuminate and flash when they're activated. And similarly at James and C Street. However, they will not contribute or construct the sidewalks or multi-use path facilities, once the crossing terminates. So we're moving forward before the county is going to do their portions of projects. And so we have this section of proposed pedestrian improvements on James slated to be under construction ideally later this year. And we don't know exactly when the county is going to be coming through with their portions. Hopefully early 27, mid 27 at the latest. But nonetheless, to put that in the proposed location as shown in the exhibit, it is on school district property. And the idea was to have the pedestrian facility be up against the current fence line, essentially, of the baseball field, so that parking is still allowed in between the travel lane and the edge of the path. But nonetheless, to create a dedicated pedestrian facility in that zone. I happened to drive through at about maybe 5:30ish, I think, last Thursday. That was, getting before graduation. There were people everywhere. Not saying that, creating that path is going to single-handedly solve that, but whether it's a lot of people or whether it's the one kid, crossing at night, activating that RFB and hopefully walking on the sidewalk. We just felt that this was, and this goes all the way from the council as well, thought that this was a stretch that some improvements were within our control in addition to leveraging that partnership. So I'll pause and take any questions that you have to the best of my ability. I may need to consult Mike if there's some more technical questions.
Well, I do have quite a few questions on this, particularly like some of the drawings and the sidewalk. So the easement itself. So if we move, are we saying we give you ownership of all the parking from the road to the sidewalk?
No, an easement just allows us to have a part of our our infrastructure essentially on your property. So no different than a telecom provider, having an easement in someone's front yard to run conduit or what have you. But that doesn't mean they own the property, but it does mean they have access to maintain the facility. And I forgot to add that we would own and we would maintain these facilities. They would just be located on district property, given the orientation of the right-of-way in that area.
Well, the positives would be most certainly ADA accessibility. Think about just getting a wheelchair from the high school to the football field for the Florida walk. There's really no way to do that safely or timely, so this would solve that problem. The visibility, but I'm just curious about how many spaces would be lost with that sidewalk coming out, especially next to that tennis court in that right field line. But those are just those are my only concerns.
Can I comment, Josh, on that? So
Yeah.
we had Brett Davison walk that line with us. So Jeff and I and Mike Dahlberg all walked that.
Yeah.
And Brett Davison said it's fine.
Okay.
So he says it won't impact parking.
Yeah, I trust. Yeah.
And that, so I trust his judgment. It's his building. I think and an easement, I will confirm that an easement does not grant full ownership. It's just an easement allows them to put a sidewalk on that area.
And then the only question I had, just to make sure I heard it correctly, so there no cost to the district, correct? It was going to be county and city covering that?
That's correct. That's the plan. We'll use our street funds to pay for our portion. The county will bring some of their ADA funds to the table. And unfortunately, we're not really eligible for Safe Routes to School state funding. Obviously, ODOT's in a tough position. Those programs are getting cut regardless, but we weren't in a position to tap into those. So yeah, we're bringing city funds to the table for that one.
I guess one final question. If it were to get, authorized, what was the time frame for starting and completion, ballpark?
So for our portion as presented tonight, which does not include the western James crossing, my understanding is that we have that budgeted in next fiscal year, so starting July 1. And I believe we'd like to complete that if possible. And I will tell Mike tomorrow morning, and he'll either say, right on, you nailed it, or we're going to have to get a little giddy up, is before the school year starts next year. So I think that would be our target. I don't know if that's for sure possible, but I do know that, as Kim mentioned, Mike's been working on this, working with your team, and that's why we're here tonight, is to try to keep this moving expeditiously.
I believe I heard you say that you'd maintain the sidewalk once it's in place. Does that also include liability if somebody trips and falls?
Probably not. That's a good question. Kim, we may want to touch base on that one. I mean, generally speaking, even a sidewalk, I don't know how many of you live within the city, but if you have a sidewalk in front of your house, the adjacent property owner is essentially the responsible party. Now, if we own it, it would make sense that.
Than we have now.
Oh, what?
I said that's not any different than gravel with bumper concrete blocks.
Well, and I can tell you from a previous experience in another district, we had a person fall on the sidewalk going by the gym and we were responsible for that. Even though,
Well, as Daniel said, we'd be responsible for anything that happened there now.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't change
True.
that.
Doesn't change anything.
Right.
Except sidewalks move.
If there was, our goal would be to keep, yes, there's a lot of sidewalks in town that need improvement and are tripping hazards. However, I think especially given this one with the public-to-public partnership, we would want to make sure that, hopefully even 10, 20, 30 years from now, that there aren't issues with it, but if there are, that we're working to make sure it's in good working, non-trippable order.
Thank you.
And similarly, if you come up with any other questions, just let Kim and I know. We're going to keep moving with our time frame. It doesn't sound like anyone has any major concerns to this, which is great. We appreciate that. So if you all do approve the easement tonight or authorize Kim to sign that, or however you all go about that, great. But if you have additional questions, just let me know, and we'll work to get those as well.
it probably needs to be signed in front of a notary, I would imagine.
Yeah. Okay. No other questions? Okay, we'll turn you loose, Corey. Don't see you on
Thank you all for the
agenda.
time.
Thanks, Corey.
Appreciate your service. All right, good night.
Okay, Silverton United Methodist Church, Silver Falls School District lease agreement. I assume you'll cover that, Kim?
Yeah, that's all me. Yeah, or actually, well, Brandon's involved in this too. Do you want to take it, Brandon, or do you want me to do it?
Why don't you go ahead and start, Kim, and I can jump in and share.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. The students we have our community transition program at the Methodist Church. They have a really cool relationship that I'll let Brandon touch on more. This lease amount was for $400 this year. They've increased it slightly because the $400 doesn't really cover the costs of things there. So it's $600 a month, so it's a slight increase. And I would recommend approving the lease. And Brandon can probably touch on more on why we think that's important.
Yeah, we've had a partnership with the Methodist Church housing our transition program for students 18 to 21 who are still eligible for transition services. And, you know, Kim mentioned there is a slight price increase, but for how much of the church we get, I mean, we have access to more than half of the church. I mean, it's still an amazing deal. And, you know, very fortunate that we were able to work out an agreement with them to continue. And I think for our students specifically, the proximity to downtown, their access to be able to walk to most of the community and job sites, and then just their partnership with how welcoming they are and accepting of our students and partnering with different things. It's just a great partnership. It's a huge benefit to us.
Any questions from board members?
I've toured that, and it is a wonderful partnership. They do a really good job with how they use that space, and it's obvious the kids are thriving there.
Yeah, Jenny does a great job with that team. Yep, that's a really fun
And the
group.
facilities from what I can see, fits our needs really well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It allows them to be really involved in that downtown core community, and it's walkable, and it's really a great spot for them.
Other questions? Okay, second read on policy BDBD, ending fund balance.
I think this is Tom.
Yeah, so this is our second read. There was one suggestion at the last board meeting by Mr. Foxworth, which was the second to last paragraph, to have it not just start, the board directs the superintendent, but to kind of add a little more positive language about the goals or its importance. And so we added, to ensure the achievement of these goals, to the beginning of that sentence. Otherwise, it's the same as it was before in the last read.
It's well worded. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. The only problem I see is in our attachment, the titles got the B's and D's mixed up.
Oh, it does.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll have.
Well, it's not easy to say either.
We'll have our friend Debbie adjust that.
I thought we renamed the darn thing.
Yeah, Debbie will fix that. Thank you,
So,
Phil, for
okay.
pointing that out.
As we discussed, I feel really uncomfortable with this, but you've earned our trust. So
And
I'll support it, but I feel uncomfortable with it.
I really appreciate you, Wally, and you are right. We're all in a situation where we want our reserves to be as high as possible. Higher you go, the more you take away from our kids in terms of the way the budget is currently set up. We're also incredibly lucky. This is higher than many districts are able to achieve right now. It's also the first step. Again, this is pre-budget. This is setting up the budget. There's many steps after this. So it just helps kind of get you on that first step, which is so important.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, and so then at, I guess at the July meeting, that will be third reading up for vote then.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Then board reports, just real quick, I visited Sequoia High School the other day. Saw students learning about water and outdoor safety. Place was super active. In fact, for Jennifer and I to have a conversation, we ended up having a meeting in an actual storage closet because every corner of the place was being used. And very positive vibe from the students and staff there. I attended the recognition assembly at the high school for the spring sport teams. They had in the commons, and that was a neat occurrence, celebrating our state champions there and everything. And of course, like many of you, attended graduation, and as was mentioned earlier, KJ and her staff, I think, did a fantastic job, and I've heard from several people since talked about what great it is. And I'm sure we all go to enough graduations at other schools and stuff. Ours is very efficient, very upbeat, and a lot of fun, really.
Did you notice I handed you the diplomas the right way this year?
Oh, I noticed. I noticed.
You didn't have to flip them around like last year.
No, she went great pains to do that. I appreciate it. Okay. Anybody else have anything to report?
I've just been grateful. I have a senior daughter. She was, gone, and there's a lot of emotions because we're not going to be around the high school as much. When you have a kid, you're here a little more, So, but no, just incredibly grateful for everybody. And the senior awards was, I don't know if any other board members were. That was impressive. $270,000 of scholarships were given out, and a lot. And it was cool to see some kids that probably getting some scholarships too that maybe didn't think they would get one. So that was really cool to see our community be so supportive of our students. So, and again, KJ crushed that one as well.
That doesn't even include their university scholarships. I think that's just local.
Yeah, that's just the Silverton.
Yeah. So if you added up all of their money that they've received from different universities, it's probably $1 million or more. Would be my guess.
No, and on a side note, some of the students that won a lot of scholarships were some of the ones that come before us. That it's worth saying his name again, Mr. Chase Stoddard just really did really well for himself and represented himself in our school district very well. So.
Good. Public comment specific to discussion items or action items. Do we have anyone? Okay. I think, Kelly, you know the drill on time.
My name's Kelly Strawn. I'm a parent. And it's good there's a time limit because I like to talk and I like to talk about this topic. I wanted to just make a quick comment about the bond proposal or the, what is it, CIM?
Oh, capital improvement plan.
Okay, the capital improvement plan, which I know will move into a bond proposal, but my kids are the 4th generation to attend Central Howell, and I got to be on the strategic planning committee, and one of the activities we did was write on a Post-it something that we love about this district that we're proud of, and that was the thing that I wrote, was just kind of the longevity of many families. I'm one of tens, if not 100, I don't know, there's a lot of families who have a story like that. And my daughter, who will graduate from kindergarten on Wednesday, has a disability. And Central Howell is one of the most accessible, she uses a wheelchair. And so Central Howell is one of the most accessible schools, K-8 schools that I know of in our district. I haven't been in many of them for a long time, but I've been in a few of them quite a bit this year. And even though Central Howell is one of the most accessible K-8 schools, she can't go on the playground. She can't go with her class for fire drills. She has to take a special route. She can't go to the music room. And there are some really special activities that our parents and parents clubs and community supporters put on, like plays that bring these small schools together to put on a performance for the community. And because of some of the rehearsal spaces and accessibility of those places, she can't do that, even though she would love it. And I would be really sad to see the school that my grandpa attended replaced or torn down. But I think my grandpa would want more for my daughter. And I hope that our community can get behind this plan. We need to do this. And wasn't expecting. It's the kindergarten graduation, that's what. I was here for all of the stuff a few years ago, and it was really painful. And we had, every board meeting was like a new special interest group coming to, with their concerns, and I was involved in some of those, and I shared with those of you who were board members at the time the way that I voted on that bond, and I'm really excited about this plan, or this proposal. And I hope that a lot of people can be too, and I hope a lot of those of us who were skeptical last time can see that this could be a really good compromise. So I hope that you all can vote for this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any others? Do we have any online? Okay.
Don't see any little hands.
Okay, moving on to action items. Okay. The capital improvement plan.
Yeah, we have to do the capital.
And this is proving of the capital improvement plan is part of that long range, and this is basically a step for eligibility for the Awesome Grant. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, this is a requirement of the Awesome Grant, so the capital improvement plan as part of the long range facilities plan.
I'll make a motion to accept the capital improvement plan as presented in the agenda.
Second?
It's been moved and second to approve the capital improvement plan as part of the long range facility plan as presented. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'll add my 2 cents on this.
Okay.
Anything that benefits the kids. I think a lot of times I've been doing this a long time, and most of the arguments are about adults and adult problems. I don't really think about the kids in the building or the teachers that have to teach in them. I mean, it's just, any of the arguments that I ever hear are never arguments about what the parents, not the parents, the teachers and the students have to go into every day. I think about 3 schools, and schools changed. It's different. The world's different. The students are different. I just think about if we have a facility where they have one counselor, a dedicated counselor service, a room to help with these kids. Like, we don't have that. I'm just thinking about some of the things that we could do to better the lives of the students who go there, and a lot of cool things we could do too. And that's not to diminish the culture of any of them. I think they're all awesome. And we got to find a way to honor the culture that's from those schools if we get to build a new one. The Evergreen Wing, or you know, the Central Hell, whatever, you know, just find a way to grab pieces of all those places and bring them in. And the other thing about this capital improvement plan that was surprising to me is, like, the safety thing just wasn't near the top for me, but I'm fine with it. People were more concerned about the quality of the building, so that was evident. So I'm behind this plan, and I will be voting for it.
I do have to say, I am 100% behind this plan, but I do want to acknowledge that this is bittersweet. Coming in, and those communities are going to grieve, and there is going to be an adjustment period. And the more we can do to keep that cognizant and in mind while we're doing that, I think that would be very respectful. Coming from a K-8 kind of small school, I know that there is a grieving process that will be part of that.
Well, I agree as far as, you know, the point, we would honor those communities too, and I like to see it as far as if this is the way things end up going, that we in fact are very much honoring those communities, because we're keeping the K-8 tradition for that area easily accessible to those attendance areas, and we're giving them a facility where their kids can get the services relatively easy like everybody else, because right now decisions have to be made because of their size where they can't have some because of time and people being divided between buildings and everything, and gives us some, and basically a renewed legacy for that area, and that they're given a building. And I like Josh's idea, you know, having incorporating some way the three different communities, their names are there, but we're definitely honoring the K-8 and by building a facility there. And I hope voters can end up getting behind it when we do it. Any other discussion? Okay, take a vote. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Okay. Okay, now this one we've got to do or Tom will cry.
Well, that's tempting.
Resolution for adopting the budget that was given to us by the Budget Committee, and levying taxes, make appropriations for fiscal year 26-27.
Move for approval?
Second.
I'll let Debbie decide. It's been.
I'll cede to Mr. Ort.
It's been
for
moved in
seniority.
second to approve resolution 6.-8-2026 to adopt the approved budget, make appropriations, and impose and categorize property taxes for the 2026 to 2027 fiscal year. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Okay, the enterprise zone review.
Do we just make a motion to allow the superintendent to engage in an agreement with the?
Well, there's a resolution.
There's a resolution, okay.
Do you want me
There's
to-
there's a question on the amount, though.
Yeah, you wanted me to answer that question on the amount, so
Okay.
I can get that information for you. I already sent an email while I was sitting here, and I will report back about what,
Okay.
if we can charge the least amount or whatever.
So should we just move this to our
Work
next
session.
meeting?
We
Yeah.
move it to the work session on the 22nd. Yeah, Corey said we have plenty of time.
Okay, we'll move it to the. move it
The
maybe
easement
on
is, the
22nd.
sidewalk easement's more time sensitive.
Okay. And sidewalk easement. Do we have a,
I'll make a motion to approve the sidewalk improvement easement on James Street.
I'll second.
okay, it's been moved second to approve the attached covenant for permanent sidewalk easement allowing the city of Silverton to construct a sidewalk easement on Silver Falls School District property located at 330 North James Avenue, Silverton, Oregon. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better.
Okay, is there any discussion?
I just got one real quick. I mean, I'm okay with it. It's a big permanent change, and I'm just feeling like, I know Brett was out there, but, you know, unfortunately, we don't have a facility director. I would have loved to have had their opinion on this too.
He was there,
Jeff
Josh.
was out there.
Oh,
Jeff
he was
there.
out there?
Jeff was
Looking at
there
it, too.
twice with Dahlberg, actually.
Okay. And just kind of like how it would look and make sure that we're not making any future mistakes when we put it in next to the field. But as long as they're out there and they said it was good, I'm good. So.
so.
Those fields and courts are pretty well established, so they won't have any growth. The only effect it'd probably have would be
I'm just
on
like, okay,
parking.
what if we need to maintain the baseball field? They put the sidewalk right on top of it, or, you know, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But, so,
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor of the motion? Aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Ayes have it. Okay, then the motion regarding the lease with the Methodist Church.
Move for approval as presented.
second.
It's been moved to approve the renewal agreement as presented between the Silverton United Methodist Church and Silver Falls School District. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Now, are there any future agenda requests?
I just have one question, Chair. Is this Brandon's last meeting?
What's that?
Is this Brandon's last meeting?
It is.
Hey, Brandon, thank you so much,
Yeah.
bud, for
I didn't think
everything
about
you've
that because
done.
of the 22nd work session. Sorry.
Oh, I could be there on the 22nd.
You should, so we can throw a party for you.
Yeah, thank you and good luck.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Brandon. You've done a
We're
great
gonna miss
job for us.
Brandon.
And we're gonna miss you.
We are.
Without further ado, we're adjourned.